Have you ever studied a lot for an exam but then didn't do well? One of the main reasons that happens is students just study rather than prepare for an exam. Yes, there is a difference. In this video, I will show you how to prepare effectively for your exams. So stay tuned to find out how to learn more through effective exam preparation. Let's begin by looking at the difference between studying and preparing for an exam. The primary goal of studying is to gain knowledge and deepen one's understanding of a subject. It is a long-term activity aimed at building a solid foundation in a particular field or topic. On the other hand, the primary goal of preparing for an exam is to ensure that one can recall and apply the necessary information during the exam. In other words, studying is mainly focused on constructing, connecting, and organizing information inside your brain, while preparing for an exam is mostly focused on ensuring that you can use that information. So, when preparing for an exam, you should spend a much greater percentage of your time trying to pull information out of your brain rather than putting it in. My method is a straightforward two-step iterative process. That is, after you complete step 1 and then step 2, you start the cycle over again back at step 1. With every cycle that you complete, you will see yourself getting better and better. Step 1. Determine what you know and what you don't know. To maximize your learning, you want to spend a lot of your time working on the parts that you don't know or struggled with. To do that, you have to know what those parts are. Here are 2 strategies for doing that. Number 1, do a course brain dump. The goal here is to create as much of a course summary as you can entirely from memory, which might not be a lot on your first couple of iterations. Start by writing down all the main headings for the course. Under each main heading, write down the important subheadings. Finally, write a summary under each subheading, including details such as definitions, important facts, formulas, and any significant figures like flowcharts, graphs, and timelines. Once you have written down as much as you can from memory, review your class notes and/or textbook to see what you remembered, what you didn't remember at all, and what you wrote that wasn't accurate. Number 2, write practice tests. The goal here is to mimic the exam as accurately as possible. Ideally, you should write the practice tests under the same conditions as the actual exam. That is, the same kind and number of questions, the same amount of time, the same aids, etc. This will give you a fairly accurate view of what you can do and what you still need to work on. While practice tests provided by your instructor are the best, you can also make your own practice tests. One way to do this is to get a small group together and have each person in the group pick a few questions to be on the practice test. Another way is to pick problems randomly from any available source of practice problems. After finishing the practice test, before you check the solutions or get feedback, rate how confident you are in your answer. If you are confident in your answer and discover that you actually got it wrong, then you know that you have a misunderstanding that needs correcting. Keep in mind that practice is not just about getting better at doing it, it is also about gaining confidence in your ability to do it. I have seen too many students erase correct answers after they second-guess themselves. On that note, you won't have access to solutions on your exam or in your future career. So it is very beneficial to learn how to check the correctness of your answers without having to look at solutions. We have now reached step 2. Try to learn what you don't know. Now that you have figured out what that is, you can spend time studying it. How you will study it depends on your current level of learning and how you will be tested on it. For example, if you are going to be tested on your memory of facts, then to learn what you don't know, you can read your notes using an active reading technique. To help you remember the facts, you can use flashcards. If you are going to need to apply the content in familiar or unfamiliar contexts, then practice doing that using interleaved practice. If you are going to need to write essay-type answers, then spend time explaining, discussing, debating, comparing, and contrasting the concepts. This is best done in small groups. For more information about how to identify your level of learning and what strategies you should use at each level, see my video on effective studying. To recap, the 2 steps of this iterative process are: Step 1, to determine what you know and what you don't know, and Step 2, to try to learn what you don't know. Note that Step 1 is the main part of preparing for an exam. It is where you are practicing getting what you know out of your brain. Step 2 is where you're trying to further improve by filling in the gaps in your knowledge. Finally, 3 important observations. First, the more times you go through this cycle, the stronger your learning will be. So, the earlier you start using this method, the better you will be prepared for your exam. Hence, cramming is really bad, as it limits the number of iterations you will be able to do. Second, the more content you have learned before you start your exam prep, the much less time you will need to spend on Step 2. So, studying effectively throughout the term will save you a lot of time when preparing for exams. Lastly, the absolute most important way to help yourself be well prepared for an exam is to ensure that every day you are getting enough sleep, eating healthily, and getting a little exercise. In summary, the 2 most important things to remember when preparing for an exam are: Number 1, you need to prepare for how you are going to write the exam. That is, getting information out of your brain while under the conditions of the exam. Number 2, getting enough sleep and being healthy are much more valuable than a little extra studying. Keeping these in mind and using my 2-step iterative process, you will be more prepared than ever for your exams. To learn more, watch these other informative videos. Thanks for watching!